Hi, Internet viewers. Frank Rauscher again. We're marching on with the goldfinch. We're going to start painting. And what I want to show you, this is the bird as it's primed with white paint, okay? Most of this in the mantle area right in here is ghosted in, and that'll show through on some of the yellow. And the the ghosting that happens up front here is not a problem because that is going to be painted black. And most of this in the back is going to be painted black, but the yellow in the mantle area is going to show. And your breast wants to be pretty white, okay? So you can see what the coverage is, okay? But the mantle is going to be yellow and white. It's got a little bit combinations of things there. But I just wanted to get you to see what I've done as far as priming the bird with the titanium white, okay? This is basically how we want to get it for the most part, okay? A little bit of this ghosting that happens in here, and what I mean by that, see how the shadows come through from the way we burnt the bird. That is what I was trying to show a little bit. It's really not that prominent, but we're exaggerating a little bit so we can get a little shadowing in there, and that's what we're trying to do. And what I want to do is I'm gonna go show you some of the paints and what to do in the areas where we're making where we're painting, I should say, the bird. We will, the titanium white was my undercoat, and that's what I used on this. And some use gesso. If you do use gesso, I don't recommend it, but a lot of people use it, okay? And you have to water it down. I find that it becomes very smooth, and some of your detail burning and stuff like that fills in, and it fills the voids, and it takes away some of the detail. That's my experience. But hey, if you have another mentor besides myself telling you, hey, this works, and follow, see how it works for him too, you know. I just like to do this. The other reason why I use titanium white is I come in and I burn sometimes over the paint after I'm done painting to get a little shadowing in or something like that. And you have to control the temperature of your burn. It's got to be less than what you normally burn the bird, and you can get some neat effects, and that is why I use titanium white. Now, if I used, boy, I just forgot the other primer. I'll think of it in a second here. You have a tendency when you burn, it peels up and it shows the underneath side as white, and I don't want that. So when you burn the titanium white, it really holds up, and it doesn't show you the underbelly of being white. So that's the reason why I use the titanium white. So that's my method. But hey, one thing I want to tell everybody is I'm giving you my way of doing things, but always be open to whoever may be out there that you can get associated with, to follow them on how they do things, and then you can come up with your own way of doing it, okay? And you can utilize my method or you can use theirs. I'm just trying to get you off the ground, okay? And I don't know everything, and there's materials out there that may be better than what I use. I'm just been doing this so long, I tend to fall into my way of doing it rather than the best way of doing it. So always be open to other opinions of how to do it. And the word I was trying to think of before was gesso. Gesso, when I burn, peels up sometime, and it shows you the white, and I didn't want that. Okay, that's why I use the titanium white, and I water this down so it's not real heavy neither. So, but I do get a white in areas that I want to maintain in the beginning here. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for right now. Okay, so you know where you're stopping and starting. So before you start painting, you should have it looking pretty close to this. Now, I just want to state other things here. For those who may be enjoying my videos, I would ask you if you could give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it. And if you have anybody that may be interested in doing birds or even animals, I have only done the otters so far, but I'll probably do other animals along the way. And if somebody has a preference, sometimes you could write to me and, hey, try to influence me to what I may do next, okay? I'm kicking that around because we'll be finishing this goldfinch not too far down the road here. And if somebody has an idea, I like to pick popular birds, okay, so that everybody may be aware of them. I know somebody had asked me about doing a crow. Well, crow-wise, I would do more miniature than I would a full size, and I'm really not real crazy about the crow, although it's challenging. The problem with the crow, it's a big bird, and I'm trying to minimize what we do. Okay, I'm not saying I'm not going to do some big birds, but the crow is really big, and if anybody needs feeder eyes on that, I have that and stuff like that. That's one other thing I wanted to mention to you as well. I do have feet, eyes, patterns for a lot of birds. And if anybody needs a catalog, please write to me through my email. And my email address is Rauscher, Rauscher, Frank, Frank, 7 @gmail.com. I do have equipment that I sell, and burners and pens, burning pens, and brushes and paints. And if there's things you need like bits, sandpaper, stuff like that, I have a lot of different items that I handle. And I'll try to make recommendations on what to get. You don't need everything, okay? So, but for those who need some guidance, I'm there. And if you have questions that you need answered, hey, fire away. I'm here to try to help you out as best I can. So we're going to proceed on with the painting of the goldfinch, and I almost said chickadee. Jeez, you can tell I'm sliding here. But bear with me. I'm going to move the camera down, and then we'll start doing the goldfinch, okay? And we may get it to fly pretty soon. Okay, hang on. Okay, at it again. What I want to do now is I want to come in, and I'm going to clean the eyes off a little bit. And you want to be careful when you're doing this. I come in and I just scrape the glass. I don't want to get into the putty at all. I just want to loosen up to get the paint off. And if you do it lightly with a sharp knife and get most of the eye exposed, like so, then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And what I'm trying not to do is get into the putty end of it at all. So what I did is I just got the surface cleaned off as best I can. Then I'll get a brush, just wet it, and then go through it, just like so, okay? And if there's any remnant on there, I'm gonna ask you just to scrape that off. Now, when we paint, we're gonna paint right over the eye, but the way we put the, what's the name on, the paint, it acts like a film, and that comes off real easy later, okay? So that pretty much has it. I just got a moist brush to get most of the paint off, as you can see, okay? Now, what I want to do is I'm going to get ivory black paint. And I'm going to get about a pea size or some facsimile thereof. And I'm going to put a little bit of water in the cup. Not a lot. This is a wash, but I'm going to keep it on the creamy side. I'll add a little more water as we go here. But I want to get this mixed so that we do have a creamy mix on here. And then this way, when I want to coat something, you can see it's still not, what's the name yet? Not cleaning up, or creaming up, I should say. Cleaning up, I'm right. I'm gonna add a little bit more. It still has a nice consistency to it. If I take most of the paint off, just to show you, and when I go down to get rid of the excess off, it's comes off heavy on the first couple wipes. I'm trying to get all the black out of there. Boy, really having trouble with my words today. Now, here's what we're going to do. We are going to go from the beak at this point. Let me point out some things to you. We're going to slope up from here. We're going to go to the top of the eye, and we're going to come back to where it's almost to the top of the head here, and we're going to circle around right through here. So if it's helpful to some of you, you could put a line. So let's mark it out, and I'm doing it real light. I'm coming from the beak, the split in the beak now, and I'm going to come up, and I'm going to go through the top of the eye. And I don't know if you remember when we did certain areas of burning to get that look of feathering, and then we did straight line work here. So I'm just going to come up here. It's almost like to the top of the head. And I'm going to come across like here. I'm going to come around here like so. Hope I've been in the range here. What I did is in case I did drift a little bit, I'm going back here. It comes off the beak right at the split. And it comes up over the top of the eye. Okay. Comes about, here's the top of the head right here. So almost to there, just a little shy. And then I come down on this side through the top of the eye. And then I bring a line up to the top of the eye. And it's just hitting on top of the eye here. Okay, so there's your line of action that you want to fill in. Okay, so I'm going to use my thinner brush here. This is a number 3, but whatever you have will do it. But the thinner the brush, the easier it is to control it somewhat. I'm still got some thickness on there. Let me just come in here. There we go. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to get right up to the beak. Let's see if I got too much water in there, and I want to get the creamier stuff going. There we go. I'm going to come right on up to the beak without going onto the beak. Okay. And here's that line coming up. Right through the top of the eye. And I'll go back and get a little more. Notice that device that I was using before, I like to hold my bird at this stage rather than have this guy here, which is handy for doing all the painting, to be honest with you. But I just prefer to hold the bird sometime. I just feel as though I have more control. And now I'm going up to the line, or almost to the line, and then I want to put some feathered edges in there eventually. This feels a little watery. I think I would have liked to have had it more of a creamier mix, but that's okay. What we'll end up doing is putting another coat on, because I could see it's very watery and not going on as much as as evenly as I like. But this will be okay. Just trying to get all somewhat even. Now, what I want to do, let's see if I can get some of the heavier stuff. I'm going to come in here, clean my brush off a little bit, and then I'm going to try to break up like this. It's not, need to get a little more paint. Notice I put my finger on here as like a balance point so that I could come in, and I'm going to break this up so it looks like a feathered edge right along here. And if there's any pencil lines, that'll help get rid of that too. But I just want to get a couple of break lines in there just so it looks like it's feathered and not a perfect sweep. Now what I'm going to do in this, see how I broke that up? Now, I'll rinse my brush out, put that down for a minute. I'm going to get my hair dryer, and again, I'm not blowing it over the paint or anything else. I'm coming in here. I want to get that all dry. I would like to have the mix with a little more paint in it, but that's fine. I'm seeing a buildup in a couple of spots, and what I want to do is get it smoother, so I'm just going to come in here on the inside edge. Come up here. Just smooth that out a little bit more. We're going to probably give this 2 or 3 coats up here, depending on your mix, okay? If your mix gets you there the first time out, then you're good. Okay, here we go. So I'm blowing this away from the paint in my paint tray and my brush because I don't want to dry either one of them. And just going away from both of those areas and just keeping on the bird's head to get a nice solid black in there. I want a solid black. I'm letting this thing run so that it dries everything. And I see a spot that isn't drying that fast. So, when I see most of the moisture drying off on here, then I'll go to the next coat, okay? That's starting to coat pretty good. So I say, if you add too much water, you don't get it, the cover right away. So I'm going to come to the interior of this. Hope you can see this and I didn't go drifting through. Boy, I've been notorious for watching what I'm doing and not watching where I'm located when I carve or mark things out. So I'm going to come up here and I'm giving it a second coat just to make sure. And like I said, it comes right off the top of the head, or top of the eye, excuse me. Really losing it this today. Here we are. Let me go back and charge my brush up again. I don't want to have too much paint on, but I want to make it a nice good coat, and I don't want to build up on here of real solid paint. I want to make sure that I'm painting to get a solid color, but I don't want it coming right out of like the tube. You know, you want to be able to, and the idea is not to have too much water at the same time. You want a creamy setup. And that's the idea. So we're getting pretty close now. This is getting there. And I'm going to rinse out the brush. Always try to do that. Don't forget to clean your brushes because it'll preserve it. And you don't want to go out and keep on buying brushes. Here we go. Little moon noise maker. And as you're drying this, you can see when the moisture dries out on there. And see if there's any spots. If there's an area, and I just seen a little buildup here, right in here, of paint, and I don't want that, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to touch that up so that there's no, I don't want any chunks of paint sitting on here. That's why I try to keep it more watery than anything else. So I'm doing like a touch-up. If you want to call this the third coat, you can, but I just want this dark. Okay. And by now, if you see any shadowing going on or something like that, where you see there's some spots that weren't painted, this is the time to touch it up. So, okay, let me go back, try it one more time. You can see that it's really gotten dark in the areas. If we need to touch it up again afterwards, we can always do that. Because we're going to be using the black a lot. And what I want to do now is I'm going to switch to another color. And this is going to be cadmium yellow, and I'm going to get a pea size of that. Well, it's a little bit more than pea, but came out, and we'll use it. And let me just make sure my brush is nice and clean. Go into my bigger brush to do the mixing. Now, we'll come in here. And I add about half a cup of water. I'm stirring this up pretty good. Now, you can see that's really still chunky here. See it? So I'm going to add some more water. This will get you to about a little better than half of a cup. Now, I'm going to clean this brush off. Get the excess out of there. Sure, yeah. Okay, rinse that. Okay, here's what I want to do. I want to do all of the mantle, the back of the head, the cheeks, and the front of the breast area here. So let me just start in here. I'm going to come up to the beak. Hope you're seeing this well. I'm keeping it off the beak at the moment. And I'm using my larger brush right now to come in, because we're going to cover a lot. And I'm moving the paint. I don't want any heavy paint on here. I want you to sort of like, not wash it on, but it's not like the black where it was really thick. And in fact, when we go to do the wings, which are black, I will ask you to water that down. Now, coming up into the black, but just about. Okay. I'm going to keep everything controlled. I mean, your vision here as far as what I'm doing. I may come back with the black later and move it into the yellow just to make sure that I got it. And I have that feathery looking edge. Now I'm going to come down in here. And I don't want to go on the wing, so be careful there. Get that yellow in there. I'm going to come around to this side. I want to do the mantle. So, and I want to stay off the wing. And the wing is these feathers down here that we lifted. The mantle is just above them. So we come in, and this is cadmium red. I don't know why I'm having trouble saying cadmium, but did I say red? Cadmium yellow. Boy, I'm getting really dyslexic, did I? Or some facsimile thereof. Now, I don't want this heavy. I want to do a wash. If you notice, I'm trying not to get heavy paint on here. See that shadowing that's coming through? I want to be able to accomplish that to a pretty good extent here. I want to see it, and I don't want to. That's just the reason why I did that burning in there is to have it show through, so it gives the illusion of a lot of feathers in there, but it's just an illusion. Okay, so we got the mantle coming around, and that's all of the feathers that aren't raised is the mantle above that going up towards the head. And we have that ring going around here. Now, I'm just looking at this real quick just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Now, when it comes to the breast area, here's what we got to do. We got to stay off the wings, and we're going to come down to this first grouping right in here where it turns. We're going to come down to here, but we're not going down to the rump. This area here is going to stay white. So bear with me here. Oh, that's what you don't do. See what I just did? Now, lesson to be learned. Watch where your hands are going. And this is where that device may be handy to have, okay? is not to put your hands on the paint. And sometimes having that rod is helpful, okay? So, not the rod, but this device here, which is a Stanley, and it's a screw starter. So I put my hand right into the paint, which you don't want to do, okay? So we got that back. Now, what I was saying, I don't want to go on the wings. I want to come down through the breast. I want to stop right here, okay? So here we go. And I never put on enough paint that looks like it's going to run on me. You want to, every time you apply a wash like this, you want it to be in control. You have control. And I'm using here, I think this is about a number 4 or 5 brush. And Liquitex is the paint I use, but I've used all different paints, okay? I use Weber's, you name it, and I've used it, okay? So it's not like Liquitex is what I lean on at times, but whatever's available, I go with it, okay? There's a lot of good paints out there. So we got that coated pretty good now. Let me rinse my brush out again, just to get the excess out. And I'm going to hit it with the hairdryer again. Okay. And again, I blow it away from my paint and my paintbrush. And you can see in the mantle itself, it is ghosting through that shadowing of the way we burnt the feathers. And that's the reason why I did that. Okay. Now, I also did this in the breast area. Now, if you look at the bird sometime, pictures of it, there's a lot of straight line work in there, very similar to what you have up here, that you can have done all the way down through there, because there's not a lot of finesse with the feathering, but I exaggerated a little bit more and made it look more prominent. Now, I'm going to come back and give us a second coat, okay? So I'm going to get my paint in. I'm going to come up under the chin, under the beak, I should say. I hope I didn't go drifting out of it. This is what I did. Sorry. Hope I'm still on target here with my camera. I'm trying to keep my hands off the paint. Okay. Now I'm going to give this another coat. I think that ghosting will still show through. Being careful not to put my fingers on the paint. Boy, what happens is when you put your fingers on the paint like I did, you actually take it off. It acts like a sponge, and you don't want to do that. You really don't want to do that. It's very defeating. It's like when you're putting washes on, you should be going in one direction. And a brush acts like a sponge at times too. If you don't have enough paint on your brush, it'll soak up the coat you just put on before that. Now that looks pretty good to me at the moment. Now I'm going to start down on the breast area. Getting that coated again. And as I do that, almost did it. Almost went into the mantle. That's why that device I showed you earlier is very handy for those who are painting. I'm teaching you my way of doing it here, but that doesn't mean that device is very helpful, and I'll tell you that for a fact. Now, I'm going to hit this again one more time. I'm blowing away from the paint spray on the brushes. Okay, when I do this. I'm going to try to subdue the brush area a little bit and give it another coat. Maybe a little on the mantle too. So I'm going to probably do this again. Here's where it's good to hold on to the tail. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to actually come up through the throat area here. Come right down. Notice I'm going in one direction. Pick up the paint. And then I got to come this way to keep the shape where the paint should go. And not all the way down. Hope you can see this well. Okay. Now, switch this around. And just get a little bit up here. Right through there like that. Okay. Rinse my brush out. Now we're going to try it and see what it looks like. I want to get this really dry because what I want to do is actually handle this yellow. I want to put my fingers up further because what I'm going to do next is we're going to paint the wings and the tail. Okay? So the idea here is I need to hold the whole body. At least I like to hold the body. If you had the device, let's restart it. You don't have to worry about that. See, now, if I touch this, the paint's not coming off. So we're in good shape there. Now, let me rinse my brush out again. And what we're going to do is we're going to paint all of the wing, all of the tail, and and I'll show you how to do that. Let me just add a little bit more water to my black. I'm going to stir this up pretty good. And then here we go. Lay this in here. You got to be careful that you don't go onto the mantle. Okay. You don't go onto the breast. Oh, I was drifting there, I think. I don't know if I was in the camera right. Ooh, that's too much water there. That is not what you want to do. You want to come in. Steady yourself as you go. Get that in there. I think I may have put too much water in now. And this is the dilemma of painting. You probably want to keep it on the creamy side. And what I may do is I'm grabbing some of the paint that hasn't dissolved yet. See how heavy that goes on? I probably would like it that way. Now, I just want you to do the top right now and do the edges. Okay. And here too. Now, I'm going for the heavier side, but I don't want to get it globby. I'm going to spread it so it goes on heavier but smoother. And I'm trying to get this on as even as I can. See, this was a little watery back here, so get the heavier paint that didn't mix well and use that to get this. This is going to take a couple of coats. Easy. Get a little heavier. There we go. I like to do a lot of washes, but in the case of this bird here, it's got to get black, very similar to the head, at least on the top part of here. The tail, the underneath side of the tail is treated a little different. Now, I don't want any buildup in this area. If you see a glob or something like that, make sure you blend it away and it gets coated evenly throughout. Okay, so I'm going to do that first. Check my edges. Looks like I'm a little light over here, so I'll come back. And it depends on your mix. And this is the biggest challenge we have is getting the right mix. I'll be honest with you. And you may have to practice that as many times as I do it. What determines it is getting the right mix. But I'll just keep on going. Now, there are spots I missed on here, and I can see that, and that's okay. And right by the mantle, there's a little white kind of showing. And that's okay too. And I'll show you that later. So what I want to do is get you on the basic colors right at the moment here. To keep you moving. And I don't want to make the video too long. At the same time, I'm probably going to break this up into another video on the painting, but I at least want to get the coating. Now you could see the difference. See how dark the head is compared to the body? Now the body has only had one coat, but we're going to come back. I want to make sure that everything is dry on here. Okay. Now, when we go back again, now, I'm going to get this again, and I'm going to come in here very carefully, come up close to the mantle. If you notice, I get my pinky on there, trying to make sure I got a good gauge for controlling my brush. Now I'm going to go back, spread that out. I don't want anything to glob up. That is the key. And I want to get what's supposed to be black. Now there's a white edge up in here, and that's okay for the moment. We can either bring the yellow down or the black up, depending on what we need to do. But right now, my goal is to get the yellow we already got done and the black on the head. And that now what we're going to do is concentrate on getting all this painted black. And what I'm going to show you too is not to throw your paints away when you're done. I'm going to show you how to preserve your paint so that we can work on this the next day. Because if I don't give you all the information as far as painting it in one setting, you don't have to throw this paint away. You can utilize the paint after we're done. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that too. Now, I'm going to come right on up to this edge here. Give this a coat on edge. On edge. I don't want any white showing. Get a little more black. See, it starts to intensify. And the biggest thing I don't want is any buildup of the color, like a lump. That is not what we want. Okay. Rinse my brush out again. Give it another shot of the heat. A couple of spots on the tail that I can still see the white. And I'll show you that in a minute. You know, it takes about 30 seconds to dry this pretty good. Now, I spotted some spots like in here, so I'm just going to go back, but I'm going to do the whole thing as well so that I get a nice even black coating all throughout here. Okay. Now with painting, there's, it's just, it takes time, and you don't want to rush it. And to me, sometimes I want to make real long videos, but I don't want to lose you neither. So I'm going to, like I said, cut this one short. Not short, but not make it as lengthy. And then that way I can show you, and it's like a controlled way of doing it. We are going to use all these colors that I've used here before, and I even have some white from the priming, and I've kept that for a while too. And I'll show you how to preserve all of these so that you don't have to throw this paint tray away with the paint. Now I came into here. There's what I missed the last time. It was right there. And I got that. Now, I'm going to ask you to give 3 coats, and you notice it's really starting to get dark. Okay? We haven't hit the underneath side. I'm going to ask you to do that. Let me put that there. And accomplish that much. Did I miss a spot? Or is that a buildup? No, we're good. Now, let me show you something so that you don't throw this paint tray away. Here's what I do. I'm going to get a couple drops into this paint, just like that. A couple drops into this paint, just like that. And a couple drops into that paint like that. Now, what I'm going to do, you can get saran wrap, or I just have a plastic bag, and I'm going to lay this over here. And then what I'm going to do is get like we'll say like a block of wood. It could be anything, just to weight it down. And I put that on there. Now, you could keep that for a day or two before that starts to really set up, and it won't really set up. And then you could come back and just stir it up. And if it needs a drop more of water to mix, you can do that. But that's the idea, is it's you want to cover it. Saran wrap would be better than this plastic, but this is what I have right at the moment. So I put this down, and then I put some weight on it so that it holds it up. The other key thing that you want to do too is rinse your brushes out, okay? Definitely do that. It'll preserve it, get all the paint out of there, and then get it into a point. See how I roll it? I'm twisting that as I get done, and I want it into a point so that it'll hold its shape, okay? And even on the smaller one, I'll do the same thing. And you want to preserve your brushes and just let them sit there and dry out, okay? So I hope you got something out of this one. We're moving on. I didn't dry this. I'm going to let this dry on its own right now. But you can see the intensity of the black is really coming on, and we're really starting to put this baby together. So on the next video, we're going to do the beak. We're going to do the underneath side of the tail, and you're going to use the same paints that we have here. For the beak, we will introduce you to another color, but right at the moment, we're working with the black and the yellow, and that's the main thing. We're going to get into white again as well, too. So if you have the white, maintain the white as well. And I hope you got something out of this. If you did, I'm going to ask you to, what's the name? Subscribe to my channel And if you could pass the word on to any of your friends that may be interested in doing birds, please do. I'm trying to grow the channel as much as I can. And for anybody that may need anything, I do have a catalog available. It's only about 4 or 5 sheets, and it has kits for doing this bird or any of the other projects I've done online. And you can get that catalog, and you can write to me and order whatever you may need, and I'll try to advise you on what you really do need. And if to get a hold of me to get the catalog, my email address is Rauscher, RAUSCHER, Frank, FRANK, 7 at gmail.com. And again, I hope you got something out of it. Bear with us. We're going to keep on moving, and we're getting closer and closer on each step. So hope you enjoyed what you saw, and see you on the next video. Bye now.